Hi everyone, I have bad news. Our top story in bad news is that this week, Kanye's latest full-length LP, Yandhi, will not be dropping. It was scheduled to be released this past weekend, didn't happen. People thought it might drop along with his SNL performance. People thought it might drop at some point afterwards because Kanye is so nutty at this point. Why would he even care about how his album charts on the Billboard? But his significant other took to Twitter recently to announce that Yandhi is actually not dropping in the month of October, but in November, more than a month from now, on the 23rd of November, Black Friday, which is a bit more of a wait than I wanted or expected, but hey, I guess it will be coming out eventually, and hopefully it will be good. As far as I could tell, it seemed like Kanye had every intention of dropping this past weekend, since he took the time to make the media rounds to say a bunch of ridiculous and controversial stuff to gain attention, stir the pot, and create interest in his music. On SNL, he launched into a bit of a rant after a performance of the song Ghost Town, which SNL cut away from at the end of the broadcast, but Kanye was sort of left giving his little diatribe to the crowd, in which he talked about how he was bullied for wearing a MAGA hat. Kanye also appeared in the offices of a particular music publication, which I can't really get into because I don't want to offend them or seem like I'm harshly critiquing them, but let's say that their name is Fufu Shabubu. Kanye went down to the Fufu Shabubu offices and said a bunch of nutty things. He approximated that there were about 800 African slaves living in America around 1800. He also said something about wanting to build a flying car factory, which most likely is not going to happen, and made a bunch of endorsements of people who got caught up recently in a lot of high-profile sexual abuse allegations, people like Louis C.K., so on and so forth, just to probably continue stirring the pot and trying to pull as much attention onto himself as possible. Kanye also launched a series of tweets and made statements like he wished to abolish the 13th Amendment, but then he corrected himself, saying that he would amend it, claiming that the amendment allows for slavery in the case of imprisonment. And while I do think Kanye has a genuine point here, and he does seem maybe sincerely interested in ending or fixing our mass incarceration problem in America, his approach to the issue makes no sense, because while he decries this incredible injustice going on in society today, he continues to bend a knee to the very same party that continues to exacerbate these problems. Our next story is that MGK's brand new EP, which maybe you weren't even aware it was released, which if you didn't, you probably fall into the same boat as most people. Well, MGK's new EP, the numbers, not looking that good. Just sold the equivalent to about 22,000 units in a week, with 9,000 actual units sold, which is not only bad for MGK's numbers generally, but it's kind of surprising that the numbers are this low. Essentially, he has gone double aluminum with these numbers, considering that he just got out of that major beef with Eminem. You would think that given his diss track and Eminem's response track, that there would be some kind of great wave or interest in his music, especially considering, hey, he might drop some kind of huge response track back to Eminem, but there didn't really seem to be anything interesting or controversial on the EP, and MGK's music generally is pretty boring, so lo and behold, very little in terms of general interest in the EP outside of his most hardcore fans, of which there are not very many. So, new MGK numbers, pretty dismal. And finally, Cardi B has turned herself into police after being involved in a bar fight where she targeted a particular bartender who is rumored to have had some kind of physical relationship with her husband, Offset. How much responsibility she holds is not entirely clear, though she did turn herself in, so you have to think she must bear some of it. On top of that, Cardi B does have a history of allowing things like these and social media spats get under her skin to the point where she allows herself to do something rash that kind of ends up, in her face or leaving a big welt on her forehead. And that is going to be it for this installment of bad news. That was all the bad news that I wanted to talk about. All the news that I thought was bad. Thank you for watching. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, bad news forever.